Welcome to A Canadian Investing in the U.S., a podcast and YouTube channel focused on Canadians buying real estate with host Glen Sutherland.
Welcome to another episode of A Canadian Investing in the U.S. This week, our guests, this is the first time I've done two, is Doug and Anna Scott. So guys, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak and tell you and your audience a little bit about who we are and what we do, and so thank you for that opportunity.
No problem.
First of all, I am Anna Scott. I'm a former, and I say former because Doug and I recently retired May 31st. I'm a former bank privacy officer. Previous to that, I've had a career as a business analyst and a process design consultant as well. So my background is a little bit diverse, but we have several. Oh, sorry, Doug. Go ahead. What do you do?
And I was in IT, and Glenn and I met at work there, and I heard him talking about real estate, and so we got together, and it's been great to
I still
expand.
remember it. I was sitting there talking real estate with the receptionist, and Doug's ears perked up and came over, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So as Anna said, we retired recently, so we're either semi-retired or full-time real estate investors now.
Yeah, so we have several rental properties right now, and we actually started investing in real estate about 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago now, and started acquiring properties.
Yep.
And we have 27 doors in total right now in 3 different cities in southwestern Ontario. They're all multis. We have duplexes, 4 units, triplex, and an 8 unit.
Yep.
And so we property manage our 8 unit ourselves, but the others we have done as joint ventures, and we are the money partners actually for 6 joint venture properties. So that's one aspect of real estate that we've been doing. We've also been doing some land development opportunities and deals there, and have some interests in properties in the Toronto area and in southern Florida as well. We've been recently doing quite a bit of private lending as well. So
cool.
That's actually been quite good, short term, and now getting into some longer term private lending opportunities too. So it's kept us busy this summer.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways we could go with this conversation just from that.
Yeah, certainly it's real estate investing. There's tons of opportunities that we knew really nothing about before we attended a real estate workshop for an education and networking company just over 3 years ago. So that really opened up our eyes to the possibilities.
Does it change your strategy at all, starting when you're that close to retirement?
Well, so I'm 54 and Doug's 58, and originally we didn't realize
pretty good then.
that we were going to be able to retire this quickly.
Yeah.
Because as you know, three and a half years ago, 51 and 55.
Yeah.
So we it does change. To answer your question, it does change your focus, because we wanted to diversify and dabble in multiple different areas, and we knew if we wanted to get involved in this, we're going to have to hit the ground running and really take the time, educate ourselves, go to networking events, meet other people who are doing this, ask them questions, learn from their mistakes, get involved, meet other people to become, as I said, we've done the joint venture as money partners.
Yep.
But going forward, longer term, we do want to do our goal. We set ourselves a goal when we first started to say we wanted 10 properties in 5 years. Well, we have 7 in 3, and we have another plan to do 2 more properties in the next 12 to 18 months. So because of that, the properties and then the strategizing with the land development deals and also with the private lending, that has greatly accelerated the trajectory or the timeline in which enabled us to contract or reduce significantly the opportunity when we were going to be able to retire. So earlier this year, it was late last year, we started thinking about this. Like, can we do this? Can we do it now? Because 5 years was kind of our goal once we had those 10 properties, and we wanted to get $10K a month in rental income.
Yep.
And that was going to be able to supplement any retirement income at that point.
Yep.
So we're on track for that.
And certainly starting a bit later meant that we had access to line of credit and a little more capital than the younger folks would if they got in early. So that certainly helped us get in there.
We also knew that we had only so much. Like we did tap into equity in our home because our home was paid off and our cottage was pretty much paid off. Those were the only two property assets that we had.
Yep.
And we said we've only got so much capital. We have to maximize and spread it around to the best of our advantage. And so we were very strategic in how and where we were allocating that money. And so to your point, yes, absolutely, it does change your focus, and you try to do as much as you can as quick as you can.
And so, was that the original plan that you would retire at that age, or was the real estate what made you be able to retire at that age?
I would definitely say the real estate allowed us to retire at that age. We thought at the outset it would be closer to 60 for me, 65 for Doug. He within probably 60, 62.
Yeah. He
always knew he probably wasn't going to retire at 65. We didn't really want to wait until that long, but certainly to do it in 3.5 years, man, everything to do with real estate.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's an awesome story. Okay, let's jump into your why real estate, why now?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think because we always wanted to do it. I mean, we had our cottage. We've had a cottage for when we were for a long time, over 20 years, and we would rent it out occasionally to family and friends. And so we had sort of an idea of renting out property, but very conservative and very careful, I suppose you could say. And we didn't have the education or the background to do it. Yeah. So when an opportunity came to learn a little bit more about it, we said, hey, you know what? Let's jump in. Let's take advantage of it. And then when we realized, most people, when they think of real estate, they think of flips or income suites. Yep. That you're going to add, renovate your basement, add a secondary unit. But it's a parallel universe. It's another world.
Yeah, so it's a whole other world out there for people that aren't acquainted with it, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So do you rent your cottage now? Or do you just use it for yourselves?
A little bit.
We rent it more than we did.
Yeah.
But it's really only to pay the property taxes and a little bit of other expenses. So because we're in a great position that our cottage is paid off, and so we rent it out about 5-6 weeks of the year, if that. And the prime rental periods during the summer, and we've actually got renters coming in for Thanksgiving coming up. And so, it's just great. People we know and return customers as well. People who love it really like it here, and they're coming back. So there is potential. We've kind of got that down now.
Yeah.
Although Doug says should probably do a little bit more in terms of hiring other people to do the cleaning and between guests and such. But
that is my biggest weakness too. But I'm forcing myself into it right now. I'm just turning a property to sell it, which was a rental property, and I finally bit the bullet and hired painters and hired hardwood floor refinishers. I still cut the grass myself though, and I still did like the locks on the doors and all that the little stuff. But I'm like, I just gotta release it, and that's why I like the States too, because I don't have a chance. I don't have a chance to do it. All the stuff that's too close that I. Anyway.
If I could add just another point about why real estate, why now, is most folks our age have been relatively good savers, or for the most part have some other investments, be it RSPs, TFSAs. They've done some stock perhaps, but mostly GICs or some interest-bearing products and mutual funds and such. But really, the real estate offers such a tremendously greater diversification to your portfolio. When you think about historically land barons in feudal Europe, that the wealthy land barons, that they had real estate. Yep. They owned all the land. And our business model and philosophy is buy and hold. And we've actually formed a corporation, and we brought our kids into the corporation as well as shareholders. So we hope that, given our ages, that our exit strategy, because that's another thing we had to think about longer term, is what are we going to do with all these properties? So all of our properties we've acquired, they've been put under through our corporation.
Yep.
And we're hoping that at a certain point, our kids may want to become more involved. There will be an opportunity for us to transition the reins, so to speak, to them,
Yep.
and carry on a legacy is what we wanted to build for our kids going, because our kids, our son is in Toronto, our daughter's out in Banff, and as we know, houses in Toronto are outrageously expensive. $1 million, 1.2, even condos. We were looking at condos for our son, and it's downtown Toronto. It starts at $500 a square foot. So, it's sorry, $1,000 a square foot. So a 500 square foot unit is like starting at $500,000. And our daughter, who lives out in Banff, it's $1.3 million is the average price of a house in Banff. So
they've picked some expensive neighborhoods.
Yeah, they've got careers that they love, but unfortunately they don't pay a heck of a lot of money. Not to the extent that they could afford that type of property, right? So we wanted to be able to help them down the road, and that's part of the reason why we're doing that. And also it was because we wanted to have something to retire to, not necessarily retire from. Yep. So real estate offers really interesting opportunity. We've learned a tremendous amount. We've met a fantastic, very interesting people. You wanted to say something about that?
Oh, about just expanding the knowledge and meeting people that are doing this. Using the tools and techniques and you see the great things that they've achieved, and part of getting into networking is something meeting those people, expanding our group. That's something that Anna's expanded into with the KWCREI.
Yeah. That's kind of a nice segue.
That's what I was going to say. That segues in perfectly. So let's talk about the meetup a bit. So you've been doing it. How long is it now?
Yeah, so it'll be 2 years in November, and this is a Kitchener-Waterloo Cambridge Real Estate Investors Group is a monthly meetup group, if you will, of local real estate investors. I shouldn't say just local. We have folks from as far west as London, Stratford, St. Thomas coming to our meetup. We've got a couple folks coming from as far west as Ajax and Mississauga, Burlington. We've got attendees coming from there. And it's so we formed it a couple years back, and it actually has grown quite significantly. There was only about 14 or 16 of us, 8 or 10 couples that were interested in real estate. We wanted to provide an opportunity to network and chat and talk about who's doing what. And we used to meet at a local restaurant in Cambridge. And since that time, our average attendance has grown to between 45 and 50 people. Our June meeting before we broke up for the summer, we had 62 people attending. And these are all real estate investors, and they're at different stages in their real estate careers. So some folks are just starting out, maybe haven't even acquired their first property yet, have 2 or 3, some younger folks, a real diverse, broad spectrum of ages and experience. We've got others there who've got 50 plus doors, 10, 12 plus years of experience. That the purpose is I coordinate and bring in guest speakers, business professionals, industry professionals, mortgage brokers, accountants, not lawyers. I haven't had a lawyer yet, but people in the industry to give an educational presentation on a particular topic. And then I might supplement and give a presentation on, for example, our September meeting, which is coming up next week on September 26th. I've got Claire Drage, a mortgage broker from Waterdown, through Mortgage Alliance. She's going to be talking about strategic lender placement and how important it is for you to let your mortgage broker know, work with them, tell them what you're doing, how many properties you want to acquire, because there is an actual, not a trick, I would say, but there is, the more you tell them, the more they know, the more they can profile you to the right lender at the right time in your career. Because some lenders will, like some of the big banks, Big Five, they'll cap you at 4 properties. or but others they'll loan you $1 million. So would you rather not see that lender later when some of the others are saying no, you're capped out with us, right? So there is, she's going to speak more to what's involved with that.
Yep.
And then I'm going to be giving a conversation about the Cannabis Act that's coming into force October 17th next month. So what does that mean for rental property owners in Ontario in particular is a subject matter that I'm going to be speaking to. So it's only $15 to attend, and
isn't it 20 now?
Sorry, it's $20 now. Yes, I'm sorry. the banquet hall. It's at the Cambridge Hotel and Conference Center. They increased their prices, so I've had to unfortunately extend that to the attendees, and it's $20 at the door. So, but
cool.
Sorry, go ahead.
And I'm sure you'll recap this, but if anybody wants an invitation, so one of the things about the group, it's that growth has all been, what do you say, organic. It's all essentially invitation only. We haven't really advertised.
It's not on the actual Meetup app, and it's just people inviting people, and it just Yeah.
So we've grown, and if anybody would like an invitation, please send us an email to lautuspg, LAUTUSPG @bell.net.
Mm-hmm. We'll gladly add you to our distribution list, and we'll send you notice of our upcoming meeting, which is already gone out. But it's a great opportunity. We give you coffee and tea and refreshments and cookies, and you get to listen to a couple of individuals talking about great topics. So, and there's also a break for networking as well.
Yeah. I love the networking, even if it's a topic that I'm not like 100% on. The networking is what brings me around. And
I want to thank Glen. Last year about this time, you came and spoke about your experiences thus far. At that time, you probably were less experienced than you are now.
Much less experienced, even a year ago.
Yeah, Glen was a speaker at our meetup last year, and he's going to be speaking again in November.
If anyone's listening, they just said the email address, and I'll put it in the show notes as well, and you can email them if you want to come. I'll be speaking again in November. Do we know the date of that? I don't know.
November 28th, Wednesday, November 28th, and Glen is a keynote speaker. He'll be speaking at 7:40 p.m. to our group, so we're looking forward to that. And he's offering part 2, investing in the U.S.
Yes, so it will be a different presentation than last year. It will be, I'll do a recap probably of like 10 minutes of what I did last time, just so people who weren't there before aren't like left in the dark, and then move on to the more level 2 stuff that I'm going into now.
Right. Very good. Yeah. Interestingly enough, so this past June, I had sent out a customer satisfaction survey to all the attendees on my distribution list, and asked them about the June meeting, but also how they would rate or rank the previous meetings that we had had. We'd had, as I said, Glen, we've had Cherry Chan, accountant from Hamilton area, come and speak.
Yeah.
Dahlia Barsoom had spoken to our group before. She's also a mortgage broker. So we've got some big names. We've had Alfonso Salome from JAG talking about rent-to-owns. So the survey, interesting enough, you were ranked quite high, investing in the U.S. amongst the attendees. And interesting enough, some of the comments, people who were coming to the June and May meetings had just discovered us and hadn't come before, and they expressed regret at not having heard your presentation the previous November. So I thought it was kind of interesting that more and more people are certainly gravitating towards that as a market. And you can share with them how well you've done, and why you continue to go and invest in the area. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I will see you at the meetup.
Thanks so much, Glenn. Really appreciate this, and best of luck to all the investor audience members.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Canadian Investing in the U.S. The episode we just recorded was actually really long, so I'm going to cut it into 2 parts. It'll probably come out in another couple weeks. Next week, our guest will be Julie Hoffman from Street Smart Diva. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Bye.